Musings to the Muse. We sit there staring at each other, constantly turning or facing one another, like two sides of a coin, like we were almost adjoined. Then I go to open my mouth, and it's your voice that comes out, all blooming and bold, all ancient and old, like a forgotten forest full of trees. Your voice, wild, flows through me, and while the words are still my own, you've shown you hold dominion. This is your throne. Light. Glimmer. There was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. Hope is healthy sometimes. Keeps you going. When you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further, when your body fails and limb and life give way, it can keep you going. A flashlight through the infinite, a beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in a dark cavern. Shine. You are my beacon, and when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. And when I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone. No GPS, no telephone, just all the light that you have shown. Lighting. The way the light hit your face and split it in two like a black and white cookie was and continues to be a story in and of itself. You sat there balancing light and dark, like some of us what I do every day. But there's that peace on your face, and I wondered if this was your true state, because I've seen the light and dark of many things before, and it fits so snugly. The way the light split your face in half, it was like a yin and a yang coiling around each other, perfectly balanced. The way the light hit your face was like lightning striking in the sky. The way the light hit your face was like God splitting the sky open and letting his angels through the gate to do what they do. The disparity of our ugly dark world against the magnificence and splendor of Alright, we're in it now, boys. Um, Welcome back to Musings to the Muse. This is going to be episode 8, and you've already heard it at this point, but I'm finally getting around to talking about light. Light is, first of all, I think my favorite track on the album for a couple of reasons. One, I just like how it sounds. I could listen to it all day, and on repeat. I think I probably listened to this one the most by itself, like just as a concept. I think I've listened to it the most because it's my favorite piece on the album. Um, and yeah, it's so clean. Like, I like it because I feel like it's the cleanest one on the album. It's just, we're talking about light. It's very short. It's very, direct. But at the same time, there's a lot of nuance to it, and there's a lot going on in the theme of the piece itself. And it's one, I feel like you can get the sense that this is one complete piece. It's like I'm maybe talking about a person, one idea, and it is a person I'm talking about. If you couldn't tell, I'm saying you a lot here. When you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you. So I'm that part is more like a generalization, of course, the first part. But yeah, let's just get into it. Like, So Glimmer is the first part. There was a little bit of hope left that things will turn around. Hope is helping to try and keep you going. When you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further, when your body fails, and living life get way. That's just kind of relating. Hope will keep you. Hope will keep you. Hope will keep you around. Hope will make you maybe do things that you maybe shouldn't do. But at the same time, I'm describing it as mostly positive because it gives you the strength to push on, you know? And a beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in a dark cavern, you keep you going, a flashlight through the infinite. Just like, it's a little bit of light. A beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in a dark cavern. So all those things like describing like very like small burst of light in a very big kind of explosion of darkness, right? And that is how I felt about the particular person. I mean, and the funny part about this one is that I literally played it for them and said, this is about you. So that should be interesting to kind of sit back and talk about it, and if they're listening, and I think they might actually be listening to the podcast. I know they have been following my my YouTube exploits at some point, because like when and I don't really talk to this person anymore, and maybe you'll get a sense of why as we go along, but they like messaged me, they friended me when I put up my album on YouTube. They refriended me on Facebook, and I was like, am I ready to talk to you? Am I not ready to talk to you? Probably not. So I friended them back, and I deleted again. Like I unfriended them again afterwards. A couple of reasons for that, many of which I won't get into on the podcast at all. But yeah, let's just dive in again. Glimmer is kind of like describing what hope means in a positive connotation. However, I think you can kind of get the sense, because it starts off, there was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around, right? And then, hope is healthy sometimes, keeps you going when you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further, when your body fails and limb and life give way. So it's like, yeah, we're saying there was a bit of hope left that things would turn around, but that kind of also implies that things didn't turn around. You know, there was a bit of hope left that things would turn around, but there was a bit of hope left. You see what I'm saying? So that kind of implies that the idea that we're sitting here in the dark, hopefully wanting hope, you know, having the hope that things would turn around, but in actuality, they didn't. But hope itself is not the problem. Hope itself is not the problem, and we go on to explain. Hope is healthy sometimes, keeps you going, you know what I mean? And it's like, it'll keep you going through the darkness, whereas light, you know, the light is shining through the darkness in this case. It's a very, very physical, very, very physical motif that you can see in this poem, and I love that part because light is, you know, everywhere. Light is everywhere. So you can kind of get the glimpses of this when you want to. You know, if you sit back and you see, I think it's very easy to see that, you know, what I'm talking about here, like visually and physically, like you can see these ideas. A beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in the dark cavern. Like, those are very physical things that you can see with your eyes, you know, you can, maybe not. So I've had this idea in my head for a while. Apparently, everyone doesn't have, like, very good, like, visualization skills, like, because, like, I saw a Facebook post about it, and I didn't even realize this thing. but like I can basically visualize anything in my head. And they were saying that, if you can sit back and you can imagine an apple, think about an apple. And I can clearly put together what an apple looks like in my head. However, some people might have varying degrees of that. And then there are some people with zero. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, I can't do none of that shit. Like, if I close my eye, I don't see anything." I was like, "Wow." Because I'm at the other end of that spectrum when it comes. And it could just be like the creative mind. I have a very creative brain, so that is probably ties into a lot of my writing and a lot of my imagery that I use. I can basically see these things in front of me when I'm describing them. So if you see something like that where you're like, "Hey, I'm saying it's a very visual metaphor," if you don't get that, that's okay. That's why we're here talking about it. For you to kind of be able to see it too, right? But I've been trying to be better about describing things on the podcast because after I saw that post, I was like, everyone doesn't see the same shit I do when I open my eyes, and definitely don't see the same shit when I close my eyes. So I have to be more aware of that for instance of like the podcast and describing things. But yeah, this is very visual for me. The Glimmer, and I think it plays into that theme as well of light because you can see it. You can see what I'm talking about. It's bright, you know what I mean? Let's move on to shine. You're my beacon, and when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. So this one right here, this is kind of a fun line, right? It's like you're a beacon. You're so bright. And when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. Meaning, literally, you're so bright, I can't see anything else. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Who can know, right? No. So, it's funny because it's a good thing if that's what you want to see. It's a bad thing if it's not what you want to see. You see what I'm saying? It goes both ways. And it goes back to that idea at the first part where we're talking about there was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. Hope is health. Sometimes it keeps you going. Look, hope is a good idea and a good concept, but was it good in this case? And I think it plays into that duality theme, which we're going to talk about obviously more in lighting, because lighting is all about the duality of it. And when I say I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone, no GPS, no telephone, just all the light that you have shown. That is a very positive idea, I would say. That if I'm lost in the dark, I just look for your beacon and I know where I'm going now. And that's literally what I'm talking about. However, that first part, and when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. It's literally going to say, hey, you're so bright. You're so bright. I can't see anything else. Is that a good or a bad? Is that a good or a bad thing? Well, in this case, I would say, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that part out. There's a lot of this. This is very recent history for me right now that I'm kind of talking about. So this is a lot of like very much stuff that is still new and fresh in my memory, like stuff that has happened. So that's the fun part of that. I'm really talking about stuff that happened last year in this piece. Not this particular piece. I think the stuff that happened in this piece is nothing happening in this piece, right? It's kind of like describing a person or a situation. Definitely a person and a situation, I guess you can say. But yeah, but this is not describing things that have happened. This is more of an idea of a person. It's more a theme of a person and who they are. But that duality, I hope, is a lot more clear. The duality I was talking about in the first one, I was talking about hope is healthy. It can keep you going. It can do this. And I start describing hope. And I say, in this first line, in the second line of shine, I mean, and when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. That could be a positive thing, or it could be a negative thing, depending on what it is my attention is seeing and what it is that I think is a positive or negative, depending on what it is that, the beacon, you are in my beacon. Do I want to look at you? I don't know. It's because I can't see anything else but your light, though. I can't see anything else but your light. You know what I mean? I can't look at anything else. You're so bright, I can't look at anything else. But do I want to is the question. We don't even talk about wants at all. We don't talk about wants or needs at all. We're literally just talking about the facts of the situation that you were so bright and I can't see anything else because you're so bright, right? But is that a positive or negative thing? Or it depends on what it is that we are looking at and what's drawing all of our attention, right? You get it from that standpoint. Then we're going to go to the next line. Lighting. The way the light hit your face and split it into like a black and white cookie was and continues to be a story in and of itself. Literally, we're talking about the light across somebody's face, like it's hitting them square in the middle, and it's a black and white cookie. I don't know if you know what a black and white cookie is. The literally black and white cookie is, it's a big round cookie usually, and there's black frosting and there's white frosting on either side of it, splitting in half. It's kind of like a yin yang almost to the effect of it, but the yin yang has the idea of it's a swirl in between it. That little S in between it, kind of like they're like coming into each other almost on a yin yang. Just straight black and white. It's a black and white cookie. It's literally the light is hitting your face and it's splitting it right in half, right? You sat there balancing light and dark like some of us try to do every day. That line is fun because you sat there balancing light and dark like some of us try to do every day. Some of us have to fight the battle every day. Right? Every day it's a battle of fighting light and dark is what I'm saying there. You just sat there balancing it. Like it was just right in the middle. Right in the middle. Like you had it there and you were holding it there. You sat there balancing light and dark like some of us try to do every day. That line is fun to me because it's like it gives you that lighting motif. Like I said, the way the light split your face in half, split your face in two like a black and white cookie was and continues to be a story in and of itself. You sat there balancing light and dark like some of us try to do every day. Is this person trying to balance light and dark every day? I don't know if this person tried to balance light and dark, but I said you sat there balancing it. Like you were on the verge of balancing it. You had it balanced right in the middle, right? And it's light and dark. They're opposite forces of some sort, but at the same time, it's very much about the concept of it. It's light and dark, yes, but and if you want to be, I already told you that dark is about the dark poem, which I didn't get to. I'll probably get to that next week after this one. This one is like an easy one because it's talking about a person, an idea that isn't me, but dark is about me and my life. This is about a person, so this is a bit more external. So I'm describing a situation and a person here as opposed to myself. When I put myself in the situation, then it's like, okay, well, it's a bit hard to talk about myself than somebody else in terms of like the personal aspect of it and put it out there into the world. This is personal to me too because this person was really close to me. If you couldn't tell, this person is really close to me. So now, I was living in Arkansas at the time of writing this, and when I put out the album, one of the customers, they listened to it on Spotify and they came back and they said, "Light is my favorite poem." Is it a love poem? It's definitely about a person, right? And I was like, yeah. Is it a love poem? And I thought about it, and I was like, no, it's not a love poem. It's about, it's about the duality of man. It's about duality. It's not about love as much as describing a person that I may or may not love. This is not about that, though. We're not talking about love. We're talking about the person and their attributes more so than. And it may seem like there's definitely a lot of focus on the person. There's definitely a lot of detail about the person here. But it's not about love. Like, do I love the person? Probably yes, to an extent, still. But, and that's a big but. It's a big, big but here. This is not about that. This is not about love. This is why I feel like this piece is timeless to me, because we're not talking about love, which can fade, which can shift over time. This is about the concept of a person. It's not about love. And I'm not saying I don't love the person. I'm not saying I do love the person. I'm saying I don't love the person still. It's just, this is not about that. You see what I'm saying? This is deeper than that. This is about the person as a whole and their character and what it is that they have gone through and maybe have experienced and, what I've seen with my own eyes. This is an observation more so than anything else. This is not about love or hate. This is deeper than that. Because love and hate are very big concepts, right? Like you either love something, or you hate it, or you like it, or you dislike it. Those are very big concepts. But at the same time, this is more about, if you want to say the soul of a person, then I wouldn't argue the point with you that this is about the soul. This is deeper than love and hate. This is about the being itself. You know what I mean? Okay, so then we're going to go on further. But it was that peace on your face, and I wondered if this was your true state, because I've seen the light and dark of many things before, and it fits so snugly. So this is where it gets kind of interesting, because I'm saying, basically, yeah, maybe this is where you're supposed to be at in your life. You know what I mean? Because there's some people, they balance it out, and some people have a fight every day of light and dark and night and dark. Am I going to be a good person today? Am I going to be a bad person today? I'm not saying most people have these existential, crises every day. But there are definitely some people who struggle with, doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. Most people just live their life. They go to work, they go home, they kiss their wife, they go to bed, they wake up, they kiss their wife, they go to work. It's just, it's not that complicated. You don't have to think about things like this at all if you have a fairly simple life, I'd say. You know what I mean? You don't have to think about your inner workings at all if your life is simple. But some people definitely have the ability to do good and the ability to do bad, and in equal spades, in equal concepts, and it's a weird thing to say, but at this point, this person is, like I said, it was that peace on your face, and I wanted your true state because I've seen the light and dark of many things before, and it fits so snugly. So, if you're saying light is good and wholesome, and dark is not good and not wholesome, then you could say that this person dips back and forth between good and evil. But it's not about that. It's about the balance. It's about the duality of it. That you're sitting there in between, and you're doing both. You're doing both constantly. That's why I said it's the balance of it all. It's not about a fight with this person. This person knows who they are, and they are very comfortable in their skin. So they can go back and forth between light and dark. That's more what I'm saying. It's the duality of it. It's not about a fight. This person is comfortable with who they are. And that part is, it's a fun idea to explore. We're right in the middle. We're not light, we're not dark. We're right in the middle, but we're comfortable. And I think that shows a lot more of itself in this next piece, where we're like, the way the light, the end piece of it, the way the light split in your face, and the way the light split your face in half, it was like a yin and a yang swirling around each other, perfectly balanced. It's about that duality. Like I brought up the yin and yang example earlier when I was talking about the cookie, but now again, a very visual element to it is that balance. It's about that duality. It's not about light or dark. It's about both those things in as a concept of a person. You know what I mean? It's not about, and if you can kind of think about the idea of a yin and a yang, it's about that constant swirling. It's about that constant, not necessarily a battle between light and dark, but it's about the balancing of it. For each light there is a dark, for each dark there's a light. You know what I mean? It's about the balance of it all. It's not about one or the other. It's about the balance of it all. And then it goes further to say, the way the light hit your face was like lightning striking in the sky. How, the lightning strikes and there's light, and then there's no light. There's light and there's no light. It's about that duality of it. But then this last metaphor is probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever written about anything at all. It's so wild. The way the light hit your face was like God splitting the sky open and letting his angels through the gate to do what they do. The disparity of our ugly, dark world against the magnificence and splendor of. So, I'm gonna let that one hang in the air for a little bit, like I do in the poem. The splendor of, and then we don't even say it, but you know what we're talking about, I think. We're talking about the splendor of heaven and what that means. But heaven is one of those ideas, it's so ubiquitous that you hear it coming, and then at the end of the poem, there's like this nice ending chord, like right after that. It's like the boom, and it kind of fades out. And I didn't feel like I needed to say heaven, so I didn't. And it's like I cut off there. But the idea is that God is splitting the sky open. Angels are coming down. And it's that disparity. It's not about the war. It's not about the darkness. It's about the balance in that moment of time of the light coming out of the heavens and then them coming down and like basically destroying what it is that's ugly and dark, which is our world, right? I'm not saying I believe any of this stuff, mind you. That's not, like I said, these are concepts. These are not actual feelings. These are not beliefs of mine. These are just concepts that I'm using to describe. I don't really believe in the yang balance. Like I don't study Eastern philosophy. I don't study Western philosophy. I don't study any philosophy. I don't subscribe to any sort of philosophy of living necessarily. Besides, if you want to say anything about me, you can say that I'm a humanist. I will say human life is important, it's there, it's precious, because and I would say life is also precious. I would say life is precious, because with life you can do things, without life you can't do things. So just keep it like that. I'm not going further into it right now. That's a whole nother piece that we don't have to talk about right now. But when it comes down to it, I'm not saying this is my life philosophy that I'm a Christian or I'm a Taoist or anything sort of like that. I'm not. I'm very hard to describe when it comes to stuff like this. So I don't really like thinking about it. I just don't like thinking about it, honestly, when it comes to stuff like this. But we're not talking about all that. We're talking about the disparity of our ugly, dark world against the magnificence and splendor of, of what it is. And I think the metaphors here are very strong because it's the touching topic to me. Still, like I said, I have feelings for this person. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know, but I definitely feel a way about this person. I'm gonna need a sip of water after that one. Hold up. I'm gonna need a little sip of water from that one. I still feel a way about this person is maybe what I can say right now. Do I feel good? Do I feel bad? Like I said, there's a lot of duality there behind the person, and there's a lot of duality behind how I feel about the person in this case. So if they do get around to listening to this, let it be known that at the time of writing this, there was definitely a balancing act going on that I saw. I saw it with my own eyes. I literally saw light and dark balancing on this person's face. Was it skewed at some point towards one side or the other? Maybe. But at this point, there was balance or the semblance of balance when I was writing this piece, and I can say with certainty that there was definitely some darkness that took over at some point, but that's beside the point, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about this piece right now as it stands. And yeah, we're talking about duality the whole time. It's all about the duality. That's what I was saying. It's like, it's not about even that first part. When you look at it as a total thing, just that first line, there was a bit of hope left that things would turn around. But then we go deeper into hope and what that means. So there's that duality of it when you're saying there's a little bit of hope left that things will turn around. Hope is healthy sometimes, keeps you going. Hope is healthy sometimes, keeps you going, keeps you pushing on, keeps you moving through the darkness, keeps you on your feet when you can't work any further, when body fails and then in life give way. Hope can keep you going, which may be good and may be bad depending on what we're talking about. If you're pushing on into a situation where it would be better to end it and start over, or let's say you are moving in the wrong direction. You're driving. You're moving east when you should be going north or west even. Every step, every mile you take east is 2 miles that you're off of your direction, because you gotta go back in the other direction. Consider yourself doing double work, especially in terms of gas. So we're talking about gas mileage here. Every mile you drive east is a wasted mile that you have to drive back towards your center point. So every mile you drive east is taking a step away from your goal, but also you have to shovel it back towards the center where you started and then move towards the west finally afterwards. That's what I'm talking about. It's that duality. It's that, just because you are hope and it keeps you going, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a good thing. And that duality is what the poem is about. It's about that duality. Like I said, you are my beacon. When I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. Is that a positive statement? Some people might listen to it overall and say, yes, that's a beautiful thing that you have a beacon there, and it shines so bright, you can't see anything else but their light. Okay, what does that mean? It means that I can't see anything else. But is that a good thing or a bad thing? I can't see anything else. We're not even talking about if it's good or if it's bad. It's blinding is what it is. It's very bright. It's like you wake up and somebody, it's like you're looking at the sun, right? And you get that sun. You should never look directly at the sun, okay? let me not give people bad directions. You shouldn't look directly at the sun. It's not something you should do at all, right? We're not talking about that though. We're talking about that blinding light of it. Like when somebody shines a really bright light in your face, you say, and let's say they shine a really bright in your face and say, is this paint job really good? I can't see it. I only see the light right now. You're shining in my face, bro. It's like you're going from dark, like you're pitch dark right now, and somebody turns on a really bright light and blinds you, and then immediately asks you, "Oh, is this a good paint job in here? Like, what do you think about this paint job?" And you're reeling right now. You can't see anything else. You're blinded by the light. So I said, "You are my beacon." When I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything but your light. Like I said, that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. There's a lot of duality here. And there was a lot of duality with this person as well. And I hope it came across as, if you want to describe it as a love poem, I wouldn't argue the point that there is definitely love in these evaluations, in these observations, because you gotta be really close to someone to kind of get as deep as I did into this piece about them. You know what I mean? And be able to say the type of things that I did. You gotta be really close to this person. Now, what I said, once I said, okay, well, love and hate are two sides of a coin. And that coin is passion. Passion is having really strong feeling towards something. Love is when you're very passionate in a positive, I would say, direction. Right? You love the person, you like them a lot to the point where you're passionate about them. Hate is the other end of that. It's passion, but it's directed in a negative direction. Love is passion directed in a positive direction. There's a lot of passion in this piece, I'd say, but I can't tell you which way it goes in the piece. So if you're saying like light in terms of like it is a very bright and light concept, yes it is, but we're not talking about light in this piece. We're talking about light and the dark that it brings, and the lighting at the end of it kind of drags that point home a lot better than anything else does, when it's literally saying the way the light hit your face and split it into like a black and white cookie was and continues to be a story in and of itself. You see what I'm saying? Like it's about that duality, but also it's about the person going through it, and the themes around it is that there's a lot of light and there's a lot of dark. And love and hate are two aspects of a coin. There's a lot of passion here. For sure there's a lot of passion. Now, I mean passion in the middle of the road sense. You feel a way about it. I definitely feel a way about this person in this piece. And yeah, is it love, is it hate? Does it matter? No, it doesn't. In terms of the piece, it doesn't. So we're not going to get into that at all. We're not even going to think about it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not here for that. We're here to talk about the piece of writing in front of me. It is passion. You cannot read this piece and say, I don't feel a way about this person. I definitely feel a way about this person, right? Whether it's directed towards love or hate or any other direction you can take that, it's admiration or disgust. Those are two opposite concepts as well. Like, you can admire something or you can be disgusted by it. But at the same time, either one of those things means that you feel a way about it. You know what I mean? Either one of those things means that you feel a way about it. You feel something there. And the funny part about this is that it kind of, when I'm talking about passion, I want to put out there that the last part I think I'm going to say about this passion concept, and I think I'm going to end it after this point, is that love and hate are so easy to flip. It's just like a switch sometimes, right? Like you love someone and then you do something awful and then you hate them. Because passion is extreme. It's a very extreme emotion. Love is a very extreme emotion and hate is a very extreme emotion. But the thing is, depending on which way you start off, it's very easy to go the other way. Especially from love to hate, I would say. Look, let's say you love someone and they do something incredibly evil or twisted. It's going to hurt you a lot, right? So that will in turn has a very strong chance of turning into hate immediately. And it would be the worst burning hate you feel, because at least it has the potential to be the most burning hate you feel. It might not always be this way, but I would say if you love someone a lot, you have a lot of passion towards them. And passion, like I said, is a neutral emotion. It just means that you feel very strongly about something. You're passionate about it. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, it's not in relation to passion. Passion is an emotion, but it's a neutral, hey, this is non-directional passion. Passion can be love, it can be disgust, it can be admiration, it can be hate, it can be all these different things, and sometimes it's a lot more complicated than one or the other. It could be joining things. It could be like you love this person, but you're disgusted by something that they did still, or you hate this person, or you admire them, but you still hate. Like you feel a way about them is what passion means. So the idea is that love and hate is not necessarily. It's not on a spectrum at all. I would say it's either one or the other. If not, there's no sliding scale there. I would say it's passion. Like you can have an alignment scale between love, like, neutral, dislike, hate. If that's what you wanna do there, that's a sliding scale. But that's not the concept of it, because it's like love here is love and hate are two opposite ends of passion. One is when you have positive emotion, and one is when you have negative emotion. Now, this poem is about duality, which is to say, in terms of how I feel about, like, let's say this person is actually listening to this podcast, in terms of how I feel about this person, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you one way or the other. And I think that speaks, if I could talk about the type of stuff that had happened to me, that I saw with my own eyes, that would speak volumes to how I am as a person when it comes to people. That I don't have a particular take on how I feel about, and I can tell you that straight up. I don't know how I feel about this person, because like I said, that duality is such that it was right in the middle at times, and definitely skewed towards one side or the other at some point. But, and you could probably guess it got a bit more dark in that sense. But it's the duality of it is that I would say it was a balancing act, and that's how I feel about the person. That's how I've always felt about the person, really. If you want to get down to the brass tacks of it all, and when it comes to who they are and what they are as a person, there's always that duality aspect of well, it's always a light and dark with this person. It was never in between. It was always a light and a dark with this person. Even when I first met them, you could tell that there was a light and a dark with this person, as opposed to all light or all dark, or some shifting motif between light and dark every day. No, it was always a balancing act with this person. And yeah, we'll end it there. This is about duality. It's about the light hitting your face and splitting it in two like a black and white cookie. It's not about the light and the dark as dual concepts, as two different concepts. It's one concept that returning together like a yin yang, like, you know, like a black and white cookie, like a yin yang, like lightning striking the sky, like God letting his angels out of the heavens to do what they do, to smite, to destroy, but also to cleanse and purify in that case too. So we'll leave it at that. That's what the poem's about. I love this poem. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever written in my life. And like I said, you can tell there's a lot of passion behind it. But in which way does it swing between love and to hate? Well, who can know? Who can know, right? That's the duality of it. That's the duality of it. That's all you can say. That's all you can say about it. Alright, well that's part 1 done. Now we're gonna get into part 2 in just a little bit. Yeah. Love y'all. Bye. See you in a bit. Whew. That was exciting, huh? That first part. And now we're back for the second part of this. Where I'm gonna talk about the structure and the words on the page, of course. So this piece, like I said, it's one of my favorite pieces, because I think I did a pretty good job as to realizing what I wanted to say with the theme of it. Like I said, in the first part, it's mostly about the duality, and now I'm gonna try to explore a lot of what I did to kind of give it that feeling. A lot of the lines are very much like just, there's a statement there, but there's also a deeper, less implied statement. You know what I mean? Like just, I was going on about it when I was talking about the first part, but the first line, there was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. That in and of itself might sound like a positive, statement because they're talking about hope. But when you go into the words itself, there was a little bit of hope left. There was meaning that's just past tense. A little bit of hope left that things would turn around. That means, well, probably things didn't turn around. And that statement is one thing. When you read it out, you might say, oh, well, that's kind of like a happy thing, kind of like a positive thing. But in actuality, when you read it and you look at the deeper meaning behind that, kind of like, oh, well, then what are you really talking about then? And if you look at hope as like this double-edged kind of concept and sword, when we move forward, you're looking at it when you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further, when your body fails and then in life gives way. Those lines are very much kind of like positive ideas. If you look at it in a positive sense, and those are really strong lines. But like I said in the first part, going back to that idea of the duality of it, we're not necessarily talking about something very positive here, because like I said, there was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. And that line itself is very much a double-edged sword. And there's a lot of those kind of like double meanings throughout the whole piece. But I do like this phrasing. Hope is healthy sometimes, keeps you going when you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further. It's like you're literally pushing through it. And I like that impression of, okay, it's dark, you can't walk any further, your body's failing, but you still keep going. And I feel like that's very visual metaphor that I use there to describe that. Like you're walking through, and it's dark and can't carry you much further. Your body's failing, your life is failing, but you could keep going. And to follow through with the visual aspect of it, it can keep you going. A flashlight to the infinite, a beam to the despair, a glimmer of light in a dark cavern. And I like that it's very, very visual here. I was saying in that first part of this podcast episode, that I realized that some people don't have as much visualization skills as I do. So I try to be very, like this one, I was very, very trying to be very visual about it. And like hopefully you can kind of, like, even if you can't, like, just Google it, Google images and see if you can find a flashlight through the infinite dark, a beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in the dark cavern. Like, just Google those images. I hate the idea of AI, but I mean, AI would love these prompts, bro. If we're talking about, the visual aspect of it, these are some good prompts for some AI. A glimmer of light in a dark cavern. That's like what AI art is basically for, I think. Like, you just give it a weird prompt like that, and it says, boom, here you go. A beam through the despair, boom, here you go. And it just paints you a picture based on these magic words. It doesn't paint you a picture. It actually steals other people's pictures and put together with an algorithm what it is you think you're trying to describe with the words. That's what it does. It basically steals other people's art and builds around an algorithm that it uses to understand what you're saying, but also to produce what you're saying in a different medium. AI art is weird. It's like write a love song. Okay, boom, and it's done, but it's basically stealing other people's words. One, that's the quote unquote training aspect of it, is that it's stealing other people's ideas, other people's words, and kind of using that with an algorithm attached to it to say, okay, well, now I know how to write a love song. I've listened to 1 million love songs. I know how to write a love song. I'm a computer. I know things. Yeah, and I mean, this part is very much straightforward. It's basically, and the writing is very, very forward. It's just, we're describing things. We're talking about Glimmer, and we're describing things. We're talking about hope. We're describing what it is, what it looks like, what it feels like. It's like, when your body fails and limb and life give way, we're literally saying hope can keep you pushing through death. Like if you're gonna die, your limb and life giving way, that means that you're gonna possibly die, but you can push through that if you have enough hope. And for what it's worth, I do believe that concept. I do believe that. You know what I mean? But like I said in that last piece, we're also starting off with this. Is this something that we should be doing? There was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. And sometimes they don't. Regardless of how much you hope. And we're talking about hope in like a positive sentiment. But it's kind of like a neutral idea. And I like that duality between the first line, we're talking about a little bit of hope left that things turn around, but you kind of assume that that's like not what happened. There was a little bit of hope left that things would turn around. So you could assume that didn't happen. And then we're talking about hope as like this thing that pushes you forward, but it might not necessarily be a positive thing or a negative thing. And like I said, its poem's all about that duality of the person that I'm talking about. So we're always going to go back to that, those dueling concepts, those dueling ideas. Now, shine like I said, the first line, you are my beacon. And then when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. Those words are very much like, you're my beacon, yes. And when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. It's a very neutral concept. Is that because I don't know if it's good or bad, but I can't see anything else. And that idea is very neutral. And these lines coming up, these are just kind of fun. And when I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone. No GPS, no telephone, just all the light that you have shown. I love those rhymes. Like I said, sometimes I rhyme to keep with, and obviously, and when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. So this poem rhymes. The flow is nice here because it rhymes. And sometimes I'm describing a point, and I don't want to break the flow of it. Like, we just want to make it one point, and then I'll rhyme because of that. So a lot of the times I'll rhyme to keep a theme going, or to keep an idea going, and to build on an idea as opposed to stopping each line. So that you say, like in the last part, I say, it can keep you going. A flashlight through the infinite, that's one idea. A beam through the despair, that's another idea. A glimmer of light in a dark cavern. Those are three distinct ideas, but in this next line, in the next part, shine, I used rhyme to kind of keep that idea flowing, and I'm building on that idea in shine more so than I am at the end of Glimmer, where I'm talking about three distinct things. And a lot of the time I will use rhyme as like to keep the flow going, yes, but also to join ideas together and to let you say, this is one complete thought here. That's why they all rhyme together. This part is very much kind of like the idea of, and when I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone. No GPS, no telephone, just all light that you've shown. I'm building on that idea of the beacon that I started with in the piece. You know what I mean? So that's kind of nice. That it is it rhymes because I think it helps to build on that concept of the beacon. And when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. Now let's talk about that last stanza a bit. We kind of talked about that first part very much during that last session when we talked about the theme of it, because I think that's very important to the theme, that beacon of light aspect of it. But when I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone. No GPS, no telephone. And like I said before, we're talking about something so bright that I can't see anything else. So it's not like I have a choice in the matter, what I'm looking for, but at the same time, I'm saying when I can't find my way home. So it's like I'm home, I'm comfortable, and I'm home, and I wanna be there, but do I have a choice in the matter? Well, yeah. If I can leave and have to look for the beacon, that means that I can leave, right? But I'm always looking to come back regardless, is what I'm saying there. Just all the light that you have shown. So it's kind of like, and like I said, the duality of it in this piece is that, do I want to see other things? It's the question you have to ask yourself. It's because I can't see anything else but your light. The implication being is that there's a chance that I might want to see something else. And when I say you shine so bright, it's because I can't see anything else but your light. So it's like an objective statement, basically, that you are very bright. I can't see anything else. Do I want to see anything else? We're not talking about that. And it's not even like an issue of if I want it. Is that, can I see anything else? No. Am I thinking about it beyond that? Also, no. Just leave it alone. We're not worried about that. Because moving forward now, we're talking about, well, when I can't find my way home, I'll look for your light alone. No GPS, no telephone, just all the light that you have shown. Because you're so bright, I'm saying I can use you as a beacon to find my way home. And I will use you as a beacon to find my way home. Not that I necessarily want to or don't want to, is that I will because I can do that. And like I said, it's about that duality and that neutrality of the person, I guess you could say, but also the idea of, just bouncing back and forth, between it being bright and me being able to see you, and just that big, a flashlight to the infinite idea of there's a beacon there. I'm gonna walk towards the beacon because I know that, And I mean, honestly, if you want to say a beacon can be good, but also, in the case of a lighthouse, that's where you don't want to go. You don't want to go towards the beacon if we're talking about a lighthouse. You know what I mean? Because the lighthouse signifies that there's land, that you're approaching land, but that means that, you're approaching land. That means that you don't necessarily want to crash into the lighthouse. So that's why you got to be careful when you see a lighthouse. It's not about, it's mostly about a warning with a lighthouse. A lighthouse is a warning. So a beacon can also be a warning, but it also can be something that you need to work towards. So there's another, I didn't put the part about the lighthouse in the, but if you wanted to be honest about it, we're talking about light and we're talking about beacons. That could be used as another idea if you want to piece together concepts that I would say make sense about the poem. Is that a lighthouse idea wouldn't make sense. It's literally a flashlight through the infinite, a beam through the despair, a glimmer of light in dark. Like, that's literally what a lighthouse is. It's literally what it does. But at the same time, you think about the concept of a lighthouse, it's more of a warning than anything. It's like a beacon of light, but it's also not something that you want to walk toward because then you're going to crash into the land. Now, it is warning that there is land ahead of you, so to be careful and cautious when you're approaching. But if you were to fly right into it, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to use it as, oh, we've reached land. Now I have to find the dock I'm supposed to, land on, basically. That's a fun way to look at it too. And then, talking about lighting in general, well, here we go, lighting. The way the light hit your face and split it into like a black and white cookie was and continues to be a story in and of itself. That line is so heavy. It's a really long line too. The way that light hit your face and split it into like a black and white cookie will continue to be a story in and of itself. So that idea is it's very like homey. It's very much like we're talking about food. We're talking about something like simple, but also it's like comforting almost, that you're just a cookie. Your face is like a cookie. Isn't that a comforting idea? You just want to bite into the cookie now? If you're thinking about like a black and white cookie idea, we're talking about like eating cookies, talking about eating food. That's comforting. That's a comforting idea that we're talking about cookies. And continues to be a story in and of itself. And I'm trying to add some gravity, some oomph to the idea that your face is split into like a black and white cookie. But at the same time, I'm trying to say it's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. But there is a story there behind it. There is some some gravity behind those words. But it's a cookie. Cookies are nice. Cookies are fun. You know what I mean? And we get more and more intense as the poem goes along. Of course, you know, you sat there balancing light and dark like some of us try to do every day. That part is like very much the statement of the piece, I think. You sat there balancing light and dark like some of us do every day. It's really saying that there's a balancing act in the poem. The duality between light and dark it's a balance. It's not necessarily one or the other. It's literally both those things at the same time, like some of us try to do every day. And I feel like I've never seen or met somebody who is this type of way. And like some of us try to do every day, it's kind of like some of us are trying to be like you, but you're a rare case of somebody who can balance that very clearly and easily. And I think that's a fun thing to kind of say about it. But it is that peace on your face, and I wonder if this is your true state, because I've seen the light and dark of many things before, and it fits so snugly. That's another kind of like a very heavy line, kind of going back to that black and white cookie idea we were talking about. A black and white cookie, which is comforting, but I'm still trying to add a lot of gravity to it. There's a lot going on here. This person is a very complex idea that I'm trying to the person itself is a very complex idea. And if you knew the person, you would probably say, well, if you knew the person, if you knew him, if you knew them, you know, if you knew that this was the person I was talking about the whole time, then you might be say, oh well, that's probably a fair statement to make. You know what I mean? That they are very complex, but because I've seen the light and dark of many things before, and it fits so snugly. It's that idea that I've never seen somebody who can balance light and dark that strongly, that, you know, succinctly before. That's a fun word. I don't think I've ever said it before. Succinctly? That's probably how you pronounce that. That looks like the way that you would pronounce that to me. So we'll go with that. Succinctly. It doesn't flow as well as it probably could, but that's the word's fault. That's not my fault. I'm just reading it off the page in my head that I saw it in. The way the light split your face in half, it was like a yin and a yang swirling around each other, perfectly balanced. And I think I talked about the idea of the yin and the yang before. The way the light split your face in half, like a yin and a yang swirling around each other, perfectly balanced. And these are all like rapid fire lines, because like I said, I'm trying to build up to that point. But we're going from the cookie, now we're yin yang, which is a lot more intense. But then we're going to lightning striking in the sky, which is even more intense. And then we're talking about, boom, we're talking about the sky splitting open, the angel coming out, which is probably as intense as it gets. You know what I mean? In terms of like a metaphor, we're literally going, the way light hit your face was like lightning striking in the sky. The way light hit your face was like God splitting the sky open and letting his angels through the gate to do what they do. The disparity of our ugly dark world against the magnificence and splendor of and that line is obviously, it's a very heavy line, but it's also a very visual line. Like I said, this piece is very visual. it's not necessarily about like a deeper meaning. It's like I'm talking to somebody and I'm trying to describe them to them. You know what I mean? Or at least how I see them. Um, and it's you. It's you. I'm saying the way that that your face, like I'm talking to someone, and I'm trying to use all these very visual metaphors, and it's just like, boom, black and white cookie, yin yang, lightning striking the sky, God splitting the sky open. It's very much like a very extreme escalation of images and thoughts, and I'm trying to kind of hammer home the point that this is a very extremely interesting, extremely interesting individual. And I think if like he's one of those people, it's like, and this is a person, you know, but they are one of those people that if they're in a room, you could tell they're in a room. You know what I mean? Like, and I would say I'm probably the same type of person. If I'm in a room, you could probably tell I'm in a room because I'm talking. I'm an interesting. I'd say I'm pretty interesting in person. If you ever get to meet me, pray, God bless. God bless. You know, if you ever get to meet me in person, God bless. That's all I can say. And this isn't a public setting. Like I'm pretty chill out and about, you know. But if you get down to the brass tacks, and like I haven't smoked. That's the second time I've used the phrase brass tacks today. That's kind of a weird thing to do. But like I said, I feel like I'm pretty interesting. Maybe you might get the impression from my writing that I've been through a whole lot of shit, and I have. And it's probably because I get into things because everybody, I get a lot of attention when I'm out and about, and some of it is definitely warranted. Some of it is just like I'm just walking right now. Please leave me alone, So, or I'm just working right now. Please leave me alone. Like I said, I probably talked about this at some point, but I had a stalker in Arkansas, which is why I left Arkansas. I feel safe enough to talk about it now. So, I mean, I'm in a whole new country now. So, I mean, it's not really a lot that the stalker could really do to me at this point. Unless I go back to Arkansas, which would not something on my agenda for a couple of reasons right now. But, it is what it is. I probably won't be back basically ever. I mean, because, well, no reason. And if the person is listening to this right now, no reason why I don't want to go back to Arkansas at all. I just feel safer outside of Arkansas, with all my stuff, my little bit of stuff that I have in not being in Arkansas and stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of fun. But yeah, God splitting the sky open and letting his angels through the gate to do what they do, disparity of our ugly dark world. And I hope this is a metaphor that people hear it and can visualize what I'm saying. That it's literally dark outside and then the sky opens up, and the idea is that there's going to be a line somewhere in the sky where it's dark, but then the light of heaven shines through. But we're not talking about heaven, and we're not talking about the darkness of earth. We're talking about both those things combined. And like I said, it's the whole image you have to capture to kind of get the big idea of the pieces, that there's this duality there. We're not talking about one or the other. We're talking about both those things. Like, if there is a heaven, then the darkness of earth, and all the evil and stuff, in this idea that there is a heaven. If heaven is a thing that exists, then the darkness of Earth must look crazy. Like if you're looking at Earth from heaven, what the fuck are they doing? They're all like just shitting on each other and bombing each other, and all this death and shit. Oh, we should go clean that up, huh? And this is the cleanup, but it's about that disparity. It's about the two ideas that are so contradictory to each other, but at that moment in time, they both exist in the same space. And I think that extreme example of it is kind of like the visuals of it is supposed to be super extreme, and I think kind of get that this is a very extreme. Safe to say, I've never met somebody like this, and I'm not sure I ever want to meet somebody again like this. is that a positive or a negative statement now? Like I said, a lot of it has to do with like the idea that it's both those things. I think I've had my fill of this type of person for sure. I think very much had my fill of this type of person. Is that a negative? Not necessarily. I mean, some things are just extreme. Sometimes, like, I went skydiving. I don't want to do that again. Was it fun when I was skydiving? Hell yeah, it was fun jumping out of that plane. Would I want to do it again? No, because I got a picture of it. Why would I do it again? I already did it. It's done. You can't take that away from me. But, it was fun. Would I do it again? Probably not. And it's basically that idea. It's like, is it a negative thing that I don't want to do it again? That I don't want to meet somebody like this again? Not negative in the sense that it's a negative directed at that person. No, it's not. It's really not. And I don't feel that way about it. Like I said, overall, my experience in Arkansas was really good till I bumped into that stalker, and this person is not the stalker. This person did not stalk me. This is somebody else at work that stalked me. This is, about someone I work with. But, kind of hung out outside of work too. So, I mean, for what it is, for what it's worth, it is what it is. It is what it is. We're just talking shit. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is, and it do be what it do be, fam. Right? So, we're past all this. So that's why I can talk so freely about it. I mean, if I was still in Arkansas, I couldn't do this podcast in Arkansas. This is very much a reflective moment of my life where I have the time and ability to kind of be reflective of things that have happened to me in the past. And like I said, I've probably said it a couple of times already, this podcast is very cathartic for me. Being able to kind of sit down and kind of weigh out how I feel about stuff, how I feel about my writing, but more importantly, the situations I try to talk about in my writing when I'm writing them. You know what I mean? Like that's the most important part about it, and I feel like it's giving you a real sense as to who I am by the words I use to describe things and by the ideas that I present in my writing. So that's why I've been really enjoying the podcast a lot, honestly. So even if nobody listens to it, I feel like I'm gaining something out of it. And then if you listen to it and if you learn kind of like anything about anything, either about me or about the concepts I'm trying to talk about or writing in general, well, that's also good. But for me, it's mostly about the concept of being able to talk about stuff. And like I said, it's been very cathartic for me so far. So I hope to keep this going for as long as I can, as long as I don't run out of words. But I'm constantly writing now, which is good. It's healthy. Like I said, more catharsis is coming from writing down new ideas and new concepts that I mean to explore, And then at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun too. Just sitting here and talking. It's fun. This is a fun idea, and I'm glad I got this going. I'm glad I have the ability right now to do this, and just the energy to do it as well. It's a lot. It's a lot. It takes a lot out of you to kind of be out here reading the words and saying, "Oh yeah, this is what this is about," and meaning it, which is a whole nother thing. This piece is very short. It's like I think like 2 minutes, 2 and change minutes long, but there's so much imagery packed in here. Like every line is a separate image, and I think that is that that's a good thing. I think, but it also might be overwhelming to pack that much into one piece because there's all these very vivid images of things that are happening. It's all like, like I said, the first part is like hope is healthy to not keep you going when you can't see in the dark, when your feet can't carry you much further, and when your body. So like very very physical images of life. And then we're talking about a flashlight through the infinite abyss of despair, a glimmer. Like those are all physical images. So I feel like it might be overwhelming to the senses because there's so much imagery in here. And I think that describes this person as well. That it's a very overwhelming concept, and also the person is very larger than life. Very very larger than life person. So much larger than life. Like I said, and going back to the idea of the neutrality and the duality of the thing, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is it? Can it be? So yeah, I think we've done a good job here. I think we've gotten through it. This is like I said, one of my favorite pieces that I've ever written. If I think of anything else, I'll probably, I don't know, we're probably gonna come back and talk about the whole album concept as a whole at some point. To kind of like wrap it up, even with like a nice shiny bow. When we're done with all the poems, I have dark I have to do, and I have fire to do. Fire is gonna be last because, like I said, water and fire are not related at all, so I don't mind doing those out of order. And those are just straight up elementals poem. Air and earth are definitely two pieces that are combined, and light and dark are also two pieces which are kind of contrary and related, but not necessarily related in terms of like because like I said, dark is about me and light is about this particular person, but dark is like a very long drawn out piece. That'd probably be a longer podcast. Be prepared for a long one next week. Last week I think was like 2 hours long. This one is probably shaping out to be under an hour and a half right now. I'm looking at 1:21 right now, so probably gonna wrap it up in just a little bit here. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm liking this idea of the podcast. It's working. I can keep talking about stuff too, which is to say, when I started it, I was kind of like, I don't know if there's that much that I would like to talk about, but once I started doing it, like after that first episode, I was like, man, I could do this for everything. I could just keep talking. And not that, and it's because I feel like the writing itself is very deep. And it's not even about necessarily how I am as an author. I just mean that as a writer, I mean that there's just a lot that I want to talk about when I'm talking about my writing, and that's a good thing. That's a very positive idea that I have all this stuff to say about it, and I think it's interesting to hear it. I don't know if anybody's really listening to it. I could see the views on YouTube, but nobody's really giving me any feedback and say, hey, I love this episode, or this episode is lame, here's why. I don't know. I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you nothing about it. I'd be like, yeah, it's lame. If it's lame, it's lame. But that's how I feel. So you're not really insulting me. You're just saying it's lame. But it's like that's just what I felt about the piece. So if you're saying it's lame to listen to it, then you don't like the piece, or you're not interested in it. But I'm literally just saying what I did in the piece to kind of use it and the theme that I'm trying to present in the piece. It's not about, for me, it's not about if you like it or dislike it. This is just the work that I did to kind of put the piece together. You know what I mean? Like, I have no concept that if you want to, like, talk about you like the podcast or you don't like the podcast, or you like the idea of the podcast or you don't like the idea of the podcast. But what I'm talking about is all the facts. This is very factual stuff. These are the themes that I'm trying to present in the poem, and this is how I try to present those themes. So if you don't like it, it's like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's just really the work that I did to produce the art that I produced. That's what I'm trying to convey with this podcast. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up here. If you haven't yet, give the whole album a listen, back to front to back, and do it again. And then the individual tracks are posted as well. So I'm gonna have all the links in the comments in the description of the episode to Light and the Elementalist, which is the whole album. And then, I mean, that's all the links I have. That's all you get. So you'll be able to read it as you go along with this piece. Obviously, I'm gonna post that in the comments as well. So yeah, this has been a fun one to kind of talk about the person, but also the idea of the person, which is to say, it's an evolving concept to me. Now that I'm looking back at it, you know, it has evolved past this point where I have maybe, like, would I write it today this way? Probably I would write it the same way. Like I said, my idea of the person hasn't changed too much beyond, you know. Because like I said, when you're balancing, there's like a duality there, right? There's like a constant duality of light and dark with this person. So nothing really surprises me when you have that sort of. Nothing has surprised me. Let me say it like this. Nothing has surprised me after looking back on what has happened. You know, but was I surprised in the moment sometimes that things have happened? Yes, but when you go back and you analyze, when you really sit down and think about it, nothing particularly. And I don't want to say out of the ordinary, because no, there's definitely been some extraordinary shit that I have witnessed with my own eyes. But at the end of the day, and it's definitely like, I understand why stuff happens more so than not as much as you think you would understand the type of things that I've seen with this person. And I think, like, moving back, it's about that balancing, because they were able to balance light and dark. So it's like you can have both those things at the same time. Even with one action, you can have both those things at the same time sometimes. You know what I mean? It's a very complicated idea. But at the same time, people are complicated. Life is complicated. You're going to run into some weird shit sometimes. This was definitely what I would describe as weird shit happening. To say the least, some weird shit. Some extraordinarily weird shit happened in this time period of my life. So I'll leave it at that. The piece is complex. It's all over the place. I loved it. Actually, no, it's not all over the place. Dark is all over the place. We're gonna be all over the place, and then some places next week. But right now, light, very directed place. That one person. There's a lot going on here. If you like the podcast episode, like, subscribe, and see ya. That's it. Wow, we're done. Nice. this is actually a nice day. I did it all in one shot. Feels good to be done before I have to upload it. It's very nice. It's a very nice feeling that I have right now. I don't have to, rush it the day of to upload it. But anyway, thank y'all for listening. Love y'all. Bye.